isn't always bad, because stress within your comfort zone can motivate you to achieve that set goal or can help you do more. But sometimes stress can be overwhelming. This can affect your social life, your relationship with people, and even your output. So don't ask the doctor. We'll be looking at stress and how to manage stress. I'm Ilo Obonimu. Our guest today is no other person than Dr. David Wemi Ugbebine. He is the medical director of Indian Pain Center, Warri, Delta State. Dr. David, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. Doctor, you listened to my introduction about stress, that it can help us motivate us and get what we want to get.
Yeah.
So, what is stress?
Medically, when we're talking about stress, we're talking about some factors. These factors can be either mental factors or emotional factors or physical factors that will cause kind of like bodily or mental tension. So it makes us very, very uncomfortable. So medically, when we're talking about stress, that's what we'll be looking at. So these factors, basically in medicine, we refer to them as stressors. So if we have like mental stresses, or we have emotional stresses, or we have physical stresses, all of these things can make us tensed up. So when we are tensed up, then we are not able to perform the way we ought to. So we can see how it begins to affect every area of our lives.
Yes, even our social life.
Yes,
our relationship with people, even our family. Because sometimes you see a parent just coming back from the office, when the child says, "Dad, welcome," the way the man will even respond to the
yeah, I think everyone watching, and you can testify that you've actually experienced this kind of stress at one point or the other. Yeah, it happens to all of us, you know. So when we're, for instance, like you just mentioned, that would fall under the category of maybe mental stress. You get, so probably because the dad has been stressed out mentally at work, you know, when he comes back, he's all tensed up, he's not able to actually attend to his family the way he ought to, or someone is having like emotional problems or problems in their relationships. So that would be an emotional stressor. So that would make that person not able to perform the way he or she ought to. You know, and then in other areas as well, apart from the mental and emotional, like physical, you know, when you are not feeling well, you know, when you're sick, it affects your physical body, and because of that, you are not able to perform the way you ought to. So at the end of the day, you are actually tensed up. So there's this particular kind of tension that is created. When all of this happens, you refer to that individual as being stressed.
And when you mention tension, you know, it's not everybody that can absorb, that will be able to withstand tension.
Yeah. That, you know, like in your opening, you were talking about how stress is not all bad, because
that's within our comfort
yeah, exactly. You get, so when it's within our comfort zone, we are very, very okay. We can handle it. But when it begins to grow beyond our comfort zone, when it's bigger than what we want to handle at that particular point in time, it begins to affect us, and then we cannot really manage it anymore. So it becomes more than just one of those normal things that happen for that day. It becomes a problem. So when it becomes a problem, it can become a medical issue.
Okay, apart from what you just mentioned, what are other symptoms of stress?
Oh, the symptoms of stress. Okay. The symptoms of stress will begin to, it's actually funny, you'll be surprised how much stress can affect us. When we are undergoing a lot of stress, we begin to behave in different ways. Stress can affect different organs in our body. For instance, when it's affecting the brain, you'll see people begin to get anxious. You know, so people are very anxious. They are no longer as calm as they ought to be. You get, so they're very, very anxious. Sometimes it might even lead to depression.
Stress.
Yeah, it can lead to depression. So you see a normal functioning person. At the end of the day, this person cannot function the way he used to. The person always looks down. The person always looks depressed. The person is not happy. You know, so when stress builds up over a long period of time, begin to see all of that symptoms coming out. But that's when it affects the brain. For some people, the heart is where it actually affects the most. And you begin to see people, I don't know, you've heard people complain of they're at rest, they are not doing anything, but they feel like their heart is beating like really, really fast.
Yes.
Yeah, in medicine we call it. No, not really. If it's a lack of exercising, that will happen when you are actually doing one activity or the other. If you're going up the stairs or you're coming down the stairs and you're feeling your heart pounding, you feel like, okay, you've not been exercising properly. But then you're not doing anything. You're seated right now, and all of a sudden your heart is pounding like really, really fast. In medicine, we call that palpitations. So palpitation is a medical symptom, but it can also be as a result of stress. Then, for instance, someone who might have hypertension, stress can make it worse. Or stress over a long period of time actually can cause hypertension. So their blood pressure goes up, the person begins to portray symptoms, signs and symptoms of having a high blood pressure. So this can happen when it affects the heart. For some people, it affects their digestive system. You know, someone eats food and is having indigestion. It can actually be as a result of stress. But a lot of people don't know that. They're like, oh, it's indigestion and then I'm having problems and all of that stuff. But it's actually can be as a result of the kind of stress you're going through as that period. There are so many symptoms. This one is not very common, but it happens. For someone that has some sort of skin condition, like eczema, or some people, they have pimples on their faces. Yes. Yeah, you get stress makes it worse. You get
even fertility.
Yeah. Stress can affect a person's sex drive, so the person will not have that urge or that drive to want to enjoy sex. So because of that, a person cannot have sex the way he would want to or perform the way he would actually want to. You get, so mostly for men. Then for women, stress can actually affect a woman to the point where she can actually lose a pregnancy. So it can actually cause abortion. So you can see like the symptoms of stress is like so many. Yeah, so many. So it's
the job, even a sex life.
Yes.
That's like sometimes women, when they are experiencing abstinence from that, when their husband is avoiding them or not even talking about sex, some of them it might be because of stress or even economy.
True. Yeah. That would be one of those social factors and economical factors around stresses around in the society. You know, you go to work and you come back and you're not happy with the way the job is going. You're not happy at the end of the month when you're supposed to be happy. You're getting like good salary, and maybe they're slashing down your salary because of the economic situation in the country. You're really, really stressed. So believe me, at that point in time, nobody wants to have sex. You get, so as at that point in time, people will just it affects your appetite as well. You don't want to eat. It affects everything. It causes headaches for some people. For some people that already have migraine, stress makes it worse. Stress can be a trigger for some people who are already having migraine. You know, for some people it causes nausea. They feel like vomiting. Wow. Yeah, it affects it. Yeah, it affects every. So if we're going to be talking about symptoms of stress, we're going to be here the whole day. Yeah, because there's a whole lot to talk about.
Stress?
Who's prone to stress? That's the. I guess that's the golden question, right? Everyone is prone to stress.
Does it include children?
Yeah, it includes children. Now, it's going to be funny when people will say stuff like, you're not an adult, what are you thinking about, and all of that stuff. Yeah, it goes beyond what you're thinking about. For instance, let's start with children. If a child is not doing well in school, that particular child can begin to have mental stress because he or she is feeling like my mates are doing better than I am in school, so I'm not doing well. Or it's examination period and then the results comes out and I'm a child, I see my friend or my neighbor doing very well in school and then the parents are taking them out and the parents are buying them one gift or the other for good performance, or they are winning all the gifts for good performance in school and I'm not taking any. At that point in time I begin to feel bad. I begin to feel, children can even get depressed. You begin to feel mental stress. Shame begins to come in. So all of that causes stress in children. A child that is in a home where the parents are always having fights and quarrels, or they're having a divorce, that kind of child undergoes stress. So the stress that the parents are going through begins to affect the child at that point in time, and the child begins to show in the life of the child. So it affects children, it affects teenagers, it affects adults, it affects older people, it affects everyone. There are mostly people that have to go out there day in and day out and then do a particular work in the society or the other. Those kind of people undergo daily stress.
Okay. Apart from the causes you just mentioned, what are the causes of stress?
Causes of stress. Wow. If we find ourselves in a situation where, like I was saying, same for children, for adults as well, probably you're in a job environment and things are not going well, so that's social, economic stress, or you have to, there's a promotion coming up, and you're thinking, am I going to get promoted? I've been working here for years. Everyone else get promoted except for me. You begin to get stressed out, and then stress begins to manifest in your life. People are facing one kind of challenge or the other in life. It causes stress. Physical illness can also cause stress. For instance, if someone is in pain, chronic pain, someone has had pain for maybe a few months or a few years, at that point in time, they just don't want to, they're not happy, they are tensed up, and then they become stressed. So there are a lot of factors in the environment right now that actually causes stress.
So stress leads to sleeping disorder?
Yes, stress can actually lead to sleeping disorder. It's actually funny because it happens both ways. Stress can lead to sleeping disorders can lead to stress. So it's actually very funny. But yes, if the way we are created is after going through a long day of work, we need to shut down and rest. So when we are unable to do that, it will cause problems. So if you go through a long day of stress, you get home at night, and probably that particular thing that happened at work, you're still thinking about it. Since your mind is not resting, you won't be able to sleep.
That is not proper, especially the married, like the ladies.
Yeah.
It's not proper to take your office work to the house.
Yeah, I don't think it's proper for anyone. Ladies, men,
yes,
anybody.
You have to cook for your husband, take care of the children.
Yes, but in the same way, even for the men as well, if you're taking the job home with you, when you get home, everyone around you begin to feel the stress. The children feel it because your mind is not there. It seems like you're distant. Your mind is not whatever they're telling you, whatever they're doing. The wife feels it. Everybody at home feels it. So a lot of us, because of the pressure in the society right now, we take our jobs home with us. And when that happens, you can't sleep at night. And when you can't sleep at night, you wake up the next morning and then you're terribly stressed. So the stress even begins from the very minute you lift your head from the bed. So yeah, stress causes sleeping disorders. Sleeping disorders can also cause stress.
And even children are prone to stress, just for the parents to be observant of their children.
Yes, it can really happen.
Okay, let's go on a short break. When we come back, you will tell us more.
No problem.
If you join us, the program is Ask the Doctor, and we've been looking at stress, how to manage stress, and what is stress. So when you know about stress, you know how to manage it. Well, we're going on a short break. After this break, we are going straight to our health tips. More when we return.
Hello, boss, you have one text message. Hello, boss, you have one text message. You have a text message. Hello, boss, you have one text message. Hello, boss, you have one text message. You have a text message.
ABN Insights with African Broadcasting Network.
To the Daughters of Sarah and Family Agent Series, Stella Calabi is my name.
Keep watching ABN Sports. It's a clash of the titans.
You don't serve a dead God. You serve a living God. Being the same yesterday.
Well, wherever you are watching, this is Mama Haley Nation, all the way from Wari, Nigeria.
And made Eldorado, the magnificent and golden.
ABN News.
At this time.
Welcome to Sunrise Eagles Devotional.
Velvet Room. Now, you can hear from the mouth of the icons themselves.
You a kid or a teenager? If yes, looking for something captivating?
Hello there. You're welcome once again to another episode of Health and Fitness.
Sit down with entrepreneurs and they encourage you on how to develop your own entrepreneurship business. Keep watching. Let's talk.
Wow, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that health tip. Well, our doctor is in the house to tell us more about stress and how to manage stress. So, doctor, what are negative effects on stress to our body?
Okay, stress has a lot of negative effects actually. One of the negative effects it will have on us is mental disturbance. What I mean by that is when you're stressed, you'll notice you won't be able to concentrate on your job. So mentally you're not on point the way you ought to be. So you go to work and then you're not able to give in your best. So at the workplace, it actually affects your performance at work. So that's one of the negative effects of stress. Then physically, it can actually affect our health. At the end of the day, for instance, there's this research that says stress can lead to pain in the body. Muscle pain. Let me explain. For instance, have you noticed maybe you're somewhere and you're not very comfortable? Yeah. So when you're not comfortable, you can't relax. You're like, exactly, you're being a little bit stiff and all of that. When someone is stressed for a long period of time, the body, you're not doing it consciously, so you don't realize that's what's happening, but you're kind of like stiffen up. So the body, the muscles in the body undergoes that particular state for a long time. And then they begin to react by complaining, and that complaint will come out as pain. So you can start having physical pain in your body actually from being stressed. And stress actually can also lead to depression. We've all heard about depression and how bad it gets. Some people, they get so stressed and so depressed that they get to a point where they actually want to physically hurt themselves. They want to commit suicide. So yeah, stress can lead to suicide. Stress can lead to depression. Stress can affect people's marriages. You get like we mentioned earlier, it can affect the sex life of a person. So when that begins to happen, sex life is being affected, your communication in the marriage is being affected, the way you look at each other, the way you used to do stuff, everything is being affected. So over some period of time, before you know it, the walls of the marriage is tearing down and everyone is always angry at everyone else. Because with stress, one of the symptoms is we easily get irritable. Yes. Yeah. So if I'm undergoing stress at work, I get home and food is not ready. Exactly, or the wife says hi and you're wondering like, hi, or it says good morning or good afternoon, you're asking what's good about the morning, what's good about the afternoon. You see people doing that. When people do that, it's because they're undergoing a particular kind of stress at one point or the other. So that is a negative effect of stress. Saying, like I mentioned before, when a woman is pregnant and she's really, really stressed, it can lead to threatened abortion or actually lead to abortion. You get. So that is another negative effect of stress. When there is stress in the home, for instance, and it's affecting the child or the children, when they get to school, they're unable to concentrate the way they need to concentrate.
And it's going to affect
Yeah, so exactly, that's the negative effect I was going to talk about. It affects their performances. So you're surprised your child that was an A student gets to school and all of a sudden becomes a B student and then becomes a C student, and you're wondering like, oh, this child is too dull or something. That might not be the problem. The problem might just be the stress at home. And that stress at home is affecting the child, and the child's performance in school is becoming poor.
And that's why parents are supposed to try their possible best to make sure that there is peace in the home.
Very, very true. So if you can't pay attention to your children and to your spouse, at the end of the day, you won't notice when the stress begins to creep in. You know, you're wondering like, your behavior has changed, what's happening? It's because of stress. So when that begins to happen, you need to start figuring out ways to reduce the stress in that.
Okay, that's when management comes in, because I know people at home be eager to know how to manage stress, because since you said stress can affect a baby, as in a small child, it can affect an adult. So how can stress be managed?
How can stress be managed? Okay. In the beginning with our definition, we talked about stressors, the major factors that can lead to stress or that can cause stress. If the first thing we try to do as medical professionals, we try to tell our patients, number one, try to notice or try to pinpoint the stressors in your life. So if I'm a doctor and you're a patient and you come into my office and you're talking about stress, you're talking about what's happening and everything, I would want you to continue talking so that we can actually pinpoint what the particular stressor is. So we'll say number one, figure out what the stressor is, what is causing the stress. Then number two, try to either resolve that particular stressor or take yourself away from that environment that is causing the stress. For instance, if my particular stressor is the fact that there is too much workload, I try to make sure that I reduce the workload before I go home. So when I get home and I'm sleeping in a bed at night, I won't be thinking, oh, I still have that to do, I have this to do, I have like 100 different things to do. Yeah, I believe a lot of adults would testify to that happening. Yes. So when you're thinking about all of that, then you'll obviously become stressed, because
that's when time management comes in.
Yeah, you can't sleep at night and then you wake up in the morning, you're not rested. So you go to work the next day and then you're stressed. So you're piling up stress upon stress upon stress, which makes it worse. So we'll say number one,
do your work on time. Do it in the, if you are doing your office job, do it.
Yeah, exactly. Finish before leaving.
Don't bring office work to
because when you do that, you're going to be, there is no way on earth you're not going to think about it. You're going to be thinking about it. So if you have unresolved issues, resolve them before you go anywhere. It's not just about work, actually, also from home. A man and a wife, they have a quarrel at home, and then you go to work, you don't resolve it. When you get to work, you'll be thinking about what's happening at home. Yeah,
such issues.
Exactly.
Their co-workers,
yeah, they do.
What is good about it?
Yeah, they do that. So that happens. You get, so it's not only taking work home, you're taking home to work. So you leave the home with all the quarrel and everything, it's not settled, and you get to work and you can't concentrate. Exactly. Exactly. So
the way your boss will respond,
yeah. Exactly. So all of that problem, actually, so try to resolve issues. If you resolve it before you go to work, you won't be stressed. Yeah, so you'll be very, very fine. So try to resolve issues. That's another advice we'll give on trying to manage stress. So we said, notice what the stressor is. Okay. Either you resolve it or you take yourself out of that environment. Yeah. And then don't leave issues unresolved, finish your work. Then apart from that, that is like general advice. There are some medical things that we can actually do to also resolve stress. Yes. Number one is what a lot of people in Nigeria don't like to hear about.
What is it?
Exercise. Yeah. We need to learn how to exercise. There have been different research from different people, from different institutions that says when we exercise, it helps to reduce and it helps to manage stress. When we involve in exercises, there are particular chemicals that our body releases. Those chemicals can help release the tension both in our minds and in our physical body, and that will lead to reduce stress. So when we exercise, our body releases what we call endorphins. Yeah, endorphins are one of those chemicals I'm talking about. So when endorphins are released, it helps the muscles relax. It helps us to reduce stress. It's released to our brain as well, and our brains begin to react calmly. So it helps to reduce stress. Yeah, so exercise is a major part of it. Usually some people will say make sure you exercise at about, for about 10 to 20 minutes daily. So if you can do that, it can help reduce stress. So yeah, then apart from exercise, there are other things as well. Try to sleep properly at night. So if you don't sleep properly at night, like we said over and over again, you wake up in the morning, you're not rested. You're tired. Have you ever gone to bed and then you woke up tired?
Yes.
Yeah, it happens. Sometimes the reason why that happens, it's funny the way our body works. There's difference between sleeping and resting. Sometimes we sleep without resting. Let me explain. You go to bed, you lay down, and your body kind of like, okay, it's the end of the day, so let me shut down. But your mind is still working. You're still thinking. You're still wondering. You're still making plans for the next day. This happens. Yeah, this happens with a lot of men. Men suffer this one. Yeah. Yeah, so your mind is, you're thinking about the bills, you're thinking about, tuition fees, you take for the children, you're thinking about providing, you're thinking about where the next meal is going to come from. So your mind is trying to sleep, but your brain is actively at work. So when you don't have proper sleep at night, you wake up and you're already tired and you're already stressed.
And that's why some people wake up with pains.
Yes, some people. Yeah, some people can wake up with a headache when that happens because you're not getting enough rest. So when you're not getting enough rest, then you'll not be able to overcome stress. Yeah, so sleeping properly at night is also one of the ways we can manage stress. Then apart from that, there are other activities we can do as well. There are some activities that you enjoy doing. Go do them. If you enjoy swimming, the weekend, go out, take your families, go swimming, just chill, do something you enjoy doing. If you enjoy going to the movies, just go do that. When I was in school, myself and some of my classmates, we used to do that. Like after every exam period, the last day of exams, we're just done with exams and then we just drop everything, go out and go to the movies or just go something, just go have fun. So being able to have fun actually helps with stress.
So doctor, for the people that they're watching you, your advice to them, what do you want to tell them about how to manage stress? And if they have a child that they're experiencing such, so how to handle such child? Your last word, your advice.
Oh well, okay. I would like to say one of the first things we should learn how to do is reduce the amount of stressful activity you're facing day in and day out. Try to reduce that. If we can reduce that, then we'll be able to actually reduce the amount of stress we face. Then let's get a positive mind, a positive outlook in life. We know the situation in the country or whatever country you're in might be difficult, but if you can try to get a positive way to look at life, that will actually help reduce the stress. Try to rest more, try to involve in more exercises, try to have fun with your family, take them out and just hang out and have fun. And all of that actually would help you reduce stress. Thank you very much.
Well, doctor, thank you very much for being our guest today. Obviously, I hope you enjoyed today's program on stress and how to manage stress. And the doctor has told us more about it than children do undergo stress. So when they are stressed up, please, parents, assist them in any way you can. Well, ask the doctor who come your way, same time, same station. Bye.